Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah. Thanks for inviting me, Justin and Scott. I think I'm the only one here who took the CFP for this conference literally, so I hope you can bear with me as I trace how digital rhetoric emerged for me over the past 15 years. In doing so, I hope to articulate these 4 points. First, like many of you here, Greg Allmer's concept of electracy is the central theoretical underpinning to my theory and practice of digital rhetoric. Everything I have written, produced, and taught is framed around electracy and aims to contribute to its growing rhetoric. Second, electorate practices are inherently participatory. No one person or set of scholars are experts on electracy. This may seem like a no-brainer, but the participatory practices that are now ubiquitous on and offline open up countless possibilities for new ideas and creative practices to emerge. Next, we learn technologies simply through engaging with them. Play and performance are hallmarks of any course I teach and pretty much any scholarship I write or produce. Finally, electracy is a way of life, not a set of skills. As many of my former students attest, once they discovered electracy, there was no going back. We cannot not be electrate. As I mentioned in my book, Participatory Composition, I put this Allmer quote from Internet Invention on nearly every syllabus I create. The students are helping to invent the future of writing. This attitude and relationship to learning has to be made explicit and encouraged, since students are unaccustomed to working in an experimental way. Now I've got a video for the rest of my presentation. Electracy arrived for me in the fall of 2000 when Victor Vicenza assigned Allmer's book Rhetorics in his rhetorical invention doctoral symposium. Love to tell students this story today. It's our version of the old I had to walk to school barefoot in the snow uphill both ways field trip. They could hardly fathom having to share one computer and not being able to post their work online. But what became central for me in this scenario was that collaboration was not only required, it was inherent in the entire process. Learning programs and platforms as I was using them became a staple. Videos we created were called post-critical objects, after Ulmer's seminal essay, The Object of Post-Criticism. The goal was to articulate a practice that does not rely on critical distance or linear argumentation, form electricity. I found my notebook from that seminar just recently. I hadn't opened it since I wrote my dissertation. The list of questions I wrote them completely struck me, since they have guided my scholarly and pedagogical development, whether I knew it or not. Sampling of these questions. Why videos in a rhetoric class? How would I answer this question? Why writing with light, with film? What would be the argument for it? And a short blurb that simply said, move into the object and reflect it, not reflect on. I do collaborative video scholarship with grad students, former grad students, and colleagues. My first video collaboration for publication, The Dancing Floor, has been playing in the background for a while as I've been speaking. I removed the original audio and added an audio remix another student produced. Similar to Ulmer's quest in the 80s to televise Derridian theory, we made videos reflecting theoretical concepts like core conventions, desiring production, speaking as a listener, and more recently, the dark side of electricity and its offshoot for video culture, videocy, or video intelligence. Idiocy, as Ulmer predicted back in 1989, has become a legitimate form of learning. I have turned to the study of idiocy for several years now as another form of digital rhetoric. I'd like to show a video my co-conspirator, Sarah Arroyo, and I made last year that describes our process in producing The Dancing Floor. I'm hoping our explanation both articulates my vision for electricity, idiocy, and digital rhetoric, and shows how deep collaboration can work both on and offline. Our collaboration started in 2011, several months after I proposed a video installation for the 2012 NLA convention, simply called The Dancing Floor. This metaphor, I thought, provided lots of space for developing a video that would perform one of the main concepts I had been working on, for a convention. That fall semester, I met Bahari for the first time as a graduate student in one of my seminars on teaching. Of course, she opened iMovie for the first time, experimented with it, and began to create videos for her course projects. To say that her video production skills stunned me after I viewed her inaugural video composition is I had never seen such intricate production and editing skills from anyone else I had encountered in the past several years. By the end of the semester, she too became invested in Quora Convention. I asked her to collaborate with me on my video project for MLA. I gave her the chapter on Quora from my book to read, and we went from there.
Since I had only had a few interactions with Quora before working with Sarah, I wanted to study the concept carefully. So the video production of The Dancing Floor began like any other academic encounter that is text-based, requires a hyper-close reading. Sarah and I had several initial conversations about rhetorical invention and Quora in particular. Discussed imagery that may appropriately show the chapter's arguments rather than explicate them. 5 collaborative sessions were Quora in themselves. I sourced imagery and we discussed various images' effectiveness. We went back to the text and honed in on key passages. We sampled audio. While we worked with a self-imposed metaphoric framework, we didn't initially place parameters around the types of imagery we were looking at. Talked about dancing floors, dance floors, and dancing floors, and about how to bring ideas about Quora to life using our metaphor. Sessions were vital for establishing and creating them. I only had 2 weeks to prepare the video installation for MLA, and I was still in the process of grappling with understanding Quora and its theoretical implications. Whirlwind of association through electric logic. The process varies for each video composition, so it can be difficult to describe. But for The Dancing Floor, I began by reading and reading the chapter. At the same time, I would try and find music I felt was representative of the mood of At times, with the text fresh in mind, I could visualize an abstract but hazy idea of the kind of footage that could be text. Then I would turn to YouTube that could produce and the footage I was imagining. Oftentimes, I would find something that would send me spinning in an entirely new direction. Other times, I searched for hours, using every variation of the keywords I could imagine to procure the imagery. As I was splicing the footage together and overlaying the voiceover, the process became more fluid. Hearing the text come to life in the bodies of the dancers from the original footage we'd sourced made it much easier to augment and build on the visual metaphors we were creating.
The collaborative experience of producing the dancing floor first shed light on what we are now calling producing as a listener. The whole experience was rich. In one of our first meetings, we decided on ballet as one of the controlling metaphors for the dancing floor, particularly when we set the video up by discussing stasis theory. Now, I can't think of stasis theory without recalling the images of the professional ballet companies. Bahare also sourced many different versions of the ballerina that worked with each section of the video. We should mention that at the outset, we did not have a plan. We didn't have a storyboard, an outline, or a script. We only had the full chapter of my book and many, many sets of imagery that she immediately began sourcing through associational grafting. Each time we met, the organization of the video began to come into focus. Part of the collaborative process also included whittling down my chapter into a manageable 12-minute script. No one of us was the authority on that either. We simply both revised, edited, and deleted. After I watched the first draft on YouTube, my relationship with my own work instantly changed. I suddenly saw it being performed, not just by me as in the past, but as a result of Bahare producing as a Her production was so intricate and showed me things about Hora that had not been part of my interaction with it thus far. It also highlighted familiar facets in evocative ways.
Initially, the idea of altering and modifying my professor's scholarly work was intimidating. Early meetings, though, she alleviated my anxieties by altering the direction of the video or she didn't discuss it with me first to analyze whether it enhanced the work. She would simply change them steps together. It demonstrated that she trusted my input. Action, for instance, my explication and interest. Or semiotic analysis of the young soldier. This image to me after the Eisenstein still explicates. After experiencing one from an iconic image, I wondered if I could try and replicate the experience of the audience. This replication grew into a celebration of remix culture. At many iconic images, namely people inspired replication.
After MLA, we revised the video 3 more times for publication. The process brought us extremely close to the sourced material. While the dancing floor was inspired by the book chapter, it has since developed into its own ecology. And surprising for us both are ways in which it has continued to inspire our work since then. I realized that we have now come full circle. For our last video collaboration for 4Cs last month, we started with a section of one of Bahare's thesis chapters and went from there to produce one more video theory, some assemblage required. Again, the symbiotic relationship of our collaboration cannot be overstated. Electricity is a way of life. It is not a set of skills. I end with one of my former students, Susan Gridley, who articulates this when she reflects on how my approach to digital rhetoric has shaped her teaching.
Reflecting on the way your digital rhetoric course has influenced my teaching has turned out to be a difficult thing for me to do because I realize those influences are not a separately identifiable part of me. Instead, they are totally integrated into the way I think, the way I teach. And it's not like they're a set of specific strategies that I apply on top of some other foundational knowledge for teaching composition. I guess I created my own knowledge out of the ideas that resonated with me, and then now they are me.
I'm now all grown up, but electricity will continue to emerge for my collaborators and me. We will never be satisfied with our developing rhetoric for electricity, and we'll continue this work and see where it